What's up guys, this is Rise and welcome to another video. Today I'm going to be taking you through my Go Battle League style tournament run, which lasted 4 rounds, and it's hosted by OsMo PvP, the main server that I participate in. It's run by a guy named JR, and now he has a couple of guys that help him out. He kind of started the whole thing and has helped grow it into a pretty decent sized server. So I'm going to leave the Discord of the server down below. We have all kinds of fun tournaments. JR and a few others do a great job running it, so make sure to check that out and join it. And we've got the logo for OsMo PvP here next to the screen. So essentially it was a Sylph tournament, but unlike most Sylph tournaments in which you have 6 Pokemon that your opponent can see and then choose based on your team, well, this one was just blind style. So we go in not knowing what our opponent's going to choose. It's basically Go Battle League style tournament. So we go into the battles. I'm leading Deoxys against a Shiftry, so not a great matchup. My counters are going to be doing super effective, and I'm able to time it and switch out so I catch this foul play on the Umbreon. A nice switch there, but it's risky. See a message from JR there. So now my Umbreon's locked in against an Azumarill. If Azumarill is running Play Rough, this is not great because Play Rough will be dealing super effective damage. I'm not going to shield. We'll see what it is. It's a Hydro Pump, so that tells me they're probably running Ice Beam Hydro Pump. And one cool thing about Umbreon is even in a bad matchup like against Azumarill, it's so tanky and it's fairly spammy that it can keep getting to these last resorts, and it can do a lot of chip damage. So Azumarill is not going to leave this matchup with very much health. We even get to another last resort with like 1 HP. So we were able to draw a shield. So Umbreon fared really well in that matchup. We're coming in with our Hypno. Pretty interesting lineup I was running here. Umbreon, Deoxys, Hypno, double Psychic in a Dark. Kind of a lineup that it's not going to hard counter a lot of things, but it's going to be able to fare up well. And I wanted to get a feel of what my opponent was going to run. So I am able to Confusion down, and I used 1 shield. Throw the Ice Punch, it gets shielded. Now Deoxys comes back in. I'm going to commit a shield and throw the Rock Slide to get rid of this Shiftry. And it's all going to come down to what the heck they have in back. A little bit of lag there, so it doesn't take out the Shiftry, but it actually worked in my favor because it gave me an extra counter to farm energy with. And they have their own Hypno in back. So if this Hypno is running Double Punch, we're kind of in the clear. If this Hypno is running Shadow Ball, well, we might be in some trouble. So let's see, what are they going to hit us with? It's a Shadow Ball. So luckily we get to another Rock Slide, and that's huge right before we faint out. So they don't get an extra Confusion worth of energy. We're going to go into our own Hypno, and it's going to be a race to the charge move, and we get the Ice Punch off. Will this be enough to KO? I think it will. There we go. Close game 1. And each one of these rounds is going to be best out of 3 games, but you play all 3 games no matter what. So even if you are to win the first 2, you still play a 3rd game. So if we win this game, we take the match. We've got a great lead, Umbreon versus Hypno. We don't have a great response for the Skarmory that they swap in. So I'm going to let this Sky Attack go, and I'm going to hit it with a Foul Play. And this will weaken the Skarmory. So then I'm going to be able to swap in my own Skarmory. And that way I'm going to be able to take this matchup. And the main reason I do this is because a Skarmory with energy advantage probably would have beaten my Skarmory. So I get the health down low and then swap it in so I can maintain switch advantage. You see a message come in. So we're just going back with Sky Attacks. I don't really see the point of going Flash Cannon in this scenario because it's not going to do a whole lot of damage anyway, and it's going to cost a decent amount more energy. So we're just trading Sky Attacks here. Can we farm it down? It gets 1 last move off. I risk not shielding even though it's going to be close if I can survive. We see a little bit of lag. Hopefully this didn't cost my opponent some power on that Sky Attack. I don't think it did, because it still did quite a bit. Azumarill comes in and bubbles us down before we can get anything off, but that's okay, because we have a Ferrothorn that matches up great against this Azumarill. And then we know there's a Hypno in the back that's not going to be able to do much against our Umbreon, because we already know that the Hypno has Shadow Ball, and Shadow Ball is resisted by Umbreon. So we're in a good position, and our opponent realizes that, so he just leaves the match. I fast forward to our next match. So this is game 3. We've already taken this one, but we're gonna go into a game 3. Ferrothorn versus Altaria. Interesting matchup. You'd think the Flyer versus the Grass, it'd be an easy win for Altaria, right? But it's actually a pretty close matchup. This Sky Attack would do some heavy neutral damage, so I'm gonna shield. I'm gonna go straight Flash Cannon for the most part. Flash Cannon will do quite a bit of damage if it goes unshielded. They match shields. This Dragon Breath damage is resisted, but you still see it's chunking away. And my Bullet Seed damage is not doing much at all, because that's double resisted. Another Sky Attack coming in. We're going to double shield our Ferrothorn, because I really want to win switch advantage. Even though it's not looking like we will. We go for a Power Whip, because I assume they're going to shield, thinking it's a Flash Cannon. We get that shield, but it didn't matter really, because they throw a Sky Attack pretty much right away. So they went out the lead, and this is not a great situation, because this Altaria still has a good amount of health to chunk away, and I made a mistake here. I should have used that Thunderbolt that I had, but I got greedy trying to farm down, and they hit me with a Dragon Pulse. I was thinking they'd only be able to get to a Sky Attack, but Dragon Pulse hits very heavy. Sky Attack wouldn't do very much to Lantern. Immediately they swap in, and I look at the upper right, and I see the Fighting and Poison typing, knowing that it's a Toxicroak. But in back, unfortunately, they have an Azumarill. So not looking great for us. We still have our Lantern in the back, but it has like only a few HP's worth of health. So this game 3 is not looking too great. Azu hits us with a Hydro Pump. We have a lot of energy. We're going to chip away with these last resorts. Could we pull off some sort of miracle, some sort of sack swap? Let's see. We're counting the bubbles, and we're waiting till they get to a Hydro Pump. Or actually, no, I think we were waiting till they got to an Ice Beam. We tried for the sack swap. We were right there. We almost had the Thunderbolt. It didn't quite work out. So they're going to hit us with a Hydro Pump. They had plenty of energy, and they take game 3. But it's all good. Great games. We still took the first 2. So we're moving on to round 2 now. And we're trying to mix it up a little bit, but stick with the same core I'm comfortable with. So Altaria, Hypno, was it? No, Altaria, Toxicroak, and Lantern was the lineup I'm running. And if you watched my first video, you saw this Altaria mirror match happen quite a bit. So I usually like to shield the first Sky Attack, and then over farm a little bit, and then go for my own Sky Attack. And by the way, this National Bowler guy, I don't think he meant any harm, but in the chat he was like talking a little trash, saying like my match was taking too long. So I had a little bit of like, you know, Michael Jordan. I took that personally in this matchup, and I was here to send a message. I let my Altaria go. I let Toxicroak farm. I've dealt with that situation a lot. Azu comes in, and we know we have our Lantern in the back. So it depends on what he has in the back. They shield the Sludge Bomb, so a good shield by them. We tried to catch another charge move. Weren't able to. They use their energy here on my Lantern, so it's a play rough. Okay, that makes sense. Expecting that he might go for a superpower, I waited to throw, because a superpower would debuff the attack and defense of Melmetal, but he goes for a Rock Slide, and I'm just going to go for Hydro Pump, and this will do a lot of damage. Look at that. Lots of damage. And now can we get to a Thunderbolt? We can. So we're looking good here in game 1. This will get close to KOing Azumarill, but not quite. We know we still have a good amount of health on our Toxicroak, so we can just let this go through and just counter down for a win. Good win there in game 1. Let's go on to game number 2. Especially this. So it looks like I'm going Azu, Stunfisk, and Deoxys. Pretty strong lineup, pretty meta. I'm not being too spicy here, but we're hit with a bad lead. So here's a game where let's see if we can overcome this bad lead. Notice we safe swap into Deoxys. We don't switch into our hard counter because that way we can try and match that up later on. They do a nice job in catching the rock slide with their Azumarill. I probably should have been a little more patient with that, but I wanted to try and catch the Raichu off guard because Raichu is very glassy and they would have had to shield any sort of charge move. We're dealing with some lag, very annoying. We go for the Thunderbolt now. Will they let it go through? They do not. They commit a shield. We're even in shields, and because we overfarmed quite a bit, we already have another Thunderbolt. They commit both shields to their Azu. Interesting. Do I shield here? I don't, and it's a play rough. And they switch, and this is what pretty much won me the game. Them switching into Altaria right here when they didn't have to. Because, man, because I was able to now take switch advantage, this game's pretty much over. Because Azu can just Ice Beam and get that Altaria out of the way. And now, yeah, go ahead, Raichu, hit me with whatever. They hit me with a Thunder Punch. Smart going for Thunder Punch and not Wild Charge if they have it. Now this could be a Grass Knot, could be a Wild Charge. We don't know. What is it? We don't shield. It's a Wild Charge, so doing pretty much nothing. They switch in Azu, and we were patient about that, expecting probably a switch. So we go for the Discharge and not the Mud Bomb. Then we're able to farm down. And now we have stored energy for a Mud Bomb on this Raichu. And that Raichu is not going to appreciate this Mud Bomb. Boom. Knocks out poor little Alolan Raichu. We take game 2 there. One more game in this match. Do I decide to spice it up at all? I do. I bring in my Wigglytuff. Now that we won, this is round 2. We've already won 2 games, so we've already locked in advancing to the next round. So I like to have a little fun in these situations if I know I'm already advancing to the next round. So I'm bringing in Wigglytuff as a potential switch in. And I think this game actually goes pretty well. You see me looking through my potential Pokemon. This is not good though. I'm giving away my Pokemon if any of you guys, if I get any subscribers and you guys want to battle me. Now you know everything I have for Great League. I don't even have a Registeel. So take that as you wish. If you're playing against me, you don't have to worry about me having a Registeel. Looks like I'm going Umbreon, Wigglytuff, Lantern, if I caught that right. Umbreon versus Ferrothorn. I don't think I've ever been the Umbreon in this matchup. I only recently just made an Umbreon, so I'm still getting used to it, but I like Umbreon a lot. It hard counters all the Psychic types and the Ghost types. They're putting through a charge move. I know this might be a Flash Cannon, and it is. So that does a fair amount of damage, but we're still okay. Umbreon is very tanky. We're going for another foul play. Can we get to one? We cannot, but I think this is most likely just a Power Whip, which we can survive. Overfarming a little bit since they just used their energy, and now we go for the foul play. Nice job there, getting switch advantage. They bring in Azu, and we have a Lantern for this to switch in, so we're looking in good shape. We go for a last resort, and we actually get a shield. That's huge. Now, I believe based on the last game, we know this Azu has play rough, so it's not as a favorable matchup for Lantern, but still a very favorable matchup. They try and bait us with Ice Beam, and they bring in a Wormadam Trash. These things, I have one. They're annoying to deal with. They're going to be dishing out good damage with that Confusion. We land the Hydro Pump, which is huge, and I essentially bring in my Wigglytuff just to absorb this Iron Head, because I know my Lantern has such a good matchup against Azumarill, that my Lantern with 2 shields is going to be able to take that matchup pretty easily. So we actually just barely get to this play rough, which is huge. I think we had this matchup anyway, even if we didn't get to that play rough, but that makes it just a little more one-sided. We could have flexed with the no shield here and got to a Thunderbolt, but why take any chances? We shield, and we go for this Thunderbolt, which just barely KOs that Azumarill. GG's. Round 2, we get the dub, and now we're going on to round 3, the semifinals. Round 3 now, looks like I'm going with Altaria, Toxicroak, Lantern. That's a lineup I like to run a lot in Go Battle League. In my last video, when I showed you guys I was top 100 on the global leaderboards, I was using 2 of these Pokemon. So, wow, they go with a Poliwrath. Dan the man, spicing it up with a Poliwrath. We have to be really careful of this Ice Punch, because this Ice Punch is going to do a lot of damage to Altaria, and Poliwrath can get to these super quick. So now we're going for the Sky Attack. They're probably going to have to shield. Sky Attack might actually KO Poliwrath from that range. Sky, or flying versus fighting. We let one Ice Punch go through. Man, that hurts. That does a lot of damage. And then we're able to catch another Ice Punch. We timed that very well, so our Lantern can absorb this. But we're not in the clear because we don't know what they have in back, what they're going to bring in. Mistake here, man. We CMP tie here. They go for Dynamic Punch, but they bring in a Haunter. And that actually worked to our benefit, that we got that off so fast. And then they get overly greedy here. Dan, you got a little greedy. And they tried to farm us all the way down, and we're able to get to another Thunderbolt, which KOs the Haunter. Haunter's just such a glass cannon, so attack heavy. They do take out our Lantern, though, which would have been our best Skarmory counter. Now we have 2 Pokemon that aren't great against Skarmory, but we do have a shield advantage. So what I'm thinking here is I'm going to let it use a Sky Attack on my Altaria, and I'm going to use my shield for the Altaria because I already have another Sky Attack and the Dragon Breath damage will add up. So I'm going to have the Sky Attack go through, and this way now Skarmory doesn't have a ton of energy and Toxicroak can just counter down with neutral damage. And I almost forgot about this Poliwrath. I didn't even realize it was a swap out until the end, and I like almost put my phone down. So that was a close call. Always keep your thinking cap on. I've got my my Bucks cap on right now. Go Bucks, Bucks and 6. Let me know in the comments if any of you are Bucks fans. I'm a big basketball guy. We go into game 2 now. Let's look at Chris thinking, playing the mind games. What am I going to bring in now? Because he went with a Poliwrath and a Skarmory, I decided to bring in Stunfisk since that electric typing will fare well against both of those. Thinking maybe he'll run some of the same things. People have their favorite, so if they run something one game, I think there's a decent chance they're going to run it in another game. Maybe, maybe not. So I think the lineup I went with was Stunfisk, Shiftry, and Azumarill. They come in with a Alolan Marowak, and this works out great because our ground typing, or our Mud Bombs, will do super effective against the Fire and Ghost typing of Alolan Marowak. So we're in a good position. Now this is either a Bone Club or a Shadow Ball. I don't shield it because Shadow Ball will do neutral damage and Bone Club is a pretty weak move. So even though it's doing super effective, it's not doing that much. We overfarm a little, and the Mud Bomb goes through, so we win switch advantage. Pretty cool with that. They bring in a Whiscash, and Whiscash definitely not a good matchup for this Pokemon, but that's okay. We already won the lead, so we can just kind of sack this. And we even got a shield. We got a shield, I just realized. So I'm not sure why they bothered shielding, because nothing Stunfisk has will do that much damage to Whiscash. Now we're going to bring in Shiftry, I presume. We go for this Leaf Blade. A Leaf Blade from Shiftry? Whiscash does not want to see that, so definitely a shield. I tried to catch a possible Blizzard on Azu. I shield just in case, knowing potentially it could have been a Mud Bomb bait. Unfortunately, they do bait us with Mud Bomb. I get out of there because Shiftry has a bad matchup against Skarmory, and I come in with Azu. And with a shield advantage, Azu should win this matchup pretty comfortably. Azu's just such a tank. Even in Azu's worst matchups, like grass types, like Meganium, it still has that Ice Beam. I'm sure some of you have done the same thing out there, where you're in a situation where you're low on Azu. I've got one of my fitness coaches texting me, but you're low on health with an Azu, and you have like a Meganium in back, but you're able to get off an Ice Beam and somehow pull out a win even in a bad matchup. It's crazy. And yeah, basically we lower the HP of Whiscash with Azu, and then we Leaf Blade him with Shiftry on the quick combo play. So GG's there. And now we are already up 2-0 in the semifinal. So feeling pretty good. We are going to play game 3 here against our guy Dan, and we're already through to the final. So that's the positive. I wanted to spice it up here, try out some new things. So I'm going to lead with Alolan Raichu with Wild Charge and Grass Knot. What else am I going to go for? I believe I choose Ivysaur, yeah. I choose Ivysaur this match. Or do I? Yeah. Okay. Lapras, Ivysaur, Alolan Raichu. The team with a dream. And they lead a Breloom. So interesting matchup. We're both dealing super effective damage. I decide when I see how low these Ice Shards get Breloom that I'm just not going to bother using a charge move, and I'm just going to shield and farm down. Now they bring in an Azumarill, and this Skull Bash will do quite a bit if it goes unshielded. Takes out good like 40%. We get to this Surf. Imagine if they think this Surf is another Skull Bash and they commit a shield. They don't. Good job by them. But this Azu's full of energy, which isn't great for us because neither of our Pokemon want to see an Ice Beam. We're going to let this go through because we only have one shield and we don't want to be in a 2 shield deficit. They switch, I switch, and check out this crazy matchup. So I know Raichu is going to resist a Flash Cannon, so I take one. And Wild Charge, if you're familiar, it sharply lowers your defense stat. So if I was to use a Wild Charge, these lock-ons as fast moves would do considerably more damage. So I overfarm as much as I possibly can so I can get as many possible Wild Charge back to back. There's one Wild Charge. Here's the second Wild Charge. Will they let it go through? No, they double shield. And now it's a race. Can we get to the third Wild Charge in time? Yes, we just barely get to the third Wild Charge. And now we're going to be able to KO this Registeel. We come back in with our Ivysaur and we throw that Power Whip and bang. Ivysaur, Lapras, and Alolan Raichu confirmed the best team. Let's head into the championship round. We're facing our guy Cuddy. Cuddy and I are representing OsMo together on a server for the Battle of the Servers. That was my first video, and I get a good lead. Toxicroak versus Wireless. He swaps in Azumarill, I swap in Ferrothorn. Hard counter city. So we're looking good here already in game 1. He lets the Power Whip go through. I'm expecting this to be an Ice Beam, but it's a Hydro Pump, so that tells me he's most likely running Play Rough and Hydro Pump. I overfarm a little bit because I don't want to eat a Play Rough. I don't want to take any more damage than I need to. He lets the Power Whip go through. Let's see what's going to come in. Is it going to be the Zweilous? A Skarmory. So Power Whip would be double resisted. I go for Flash Cannon. It's only single resisted. And they shield because Ferrothorn can also know Thunder. And they were probably afraid of the possible Thunder. Sky Attack will take out Ferrothorn, and that's great. They use their energy. We know they have a Zweilous in back, and Toxicroak doesn't really want to deal with a Skarmory, even though the counter damage will add up. So we're just in here with our Azu. We build up to a Hydro Pump and then go for an Ice Beam, so he might think we're going for a Hydro Pump, which would almost KO this Skarmory. We draw the shield with the Ice Beam, great for us. They go for a Sky Attack, and now I'm expecting a switch in a bit, maybe. No, we get the Hydro Pump off, so even better. Will this KO? It does, and we still have a shield, so I thought maybe an Ice Beam could take it out from here, take the Zweilous out. I think that's Dragon type, so I use a shield. And I go for this Ice Beam. Let's see how much it does. Does over half, and then we just come in with Toxicroak and counter down for the win. Good first game in the final. Now we go to game number 2. If I manage to win this one, I take home the title. This is the championship round. So big matchup. Lineups are going to be huge here. I'm going with Lantern in the back. Lantern has been really valuable. Great Azu counter, great Skarmory counter. I'm leading Stunfisk, and we get another good lead. Stunfisk versus Alolan Raichu. We have to be careful of the Grass Knot, though. We have to be careful of the Grass Knot, because that will do a lot of damage. We use a Mud Bomb, they shield, and I was counting, and they do 4 Volt Switches, which is the equivalent of a Grass Knot, but I risked it, think they were trying to fool me, and it went through and it did a ton of damage, so I messed up there. We're still okay though, we still have switch advantage. So now Vigoroth versus Deoxys. Deoxys should take this matchup because we're dealing super effective damage via counter, and they're dealing resisted damage with their counter because of our psychic typing and their normal typing. This goes through. I know I can survive a body slam, so I'm not going to bother shielding, and I'm just going to counter down. So now we should be able to get a charge move off to whatever comes in, most likely. Will they send in Raichu? Something else? They send in Skarmory, so we're just going to go straight for this Thunderbolt. This will do a lot of damage if it goes unshielded. We get the shield. Okay, so now they're out of shields, and we have 2. But we're not out of the woods yet. This Mud Bomb will do a lot. But before we can get to another one, Raichu's going to take us out. I do something with my iPhone menu there. They use the Grass Knot, so they're out of energy. And check, just look how fast Raichu is getting to these moves with Volt Switch. I'm expecting either a Wild Charge or Grass Knot's a Wild Charge. So a good use of a shield. And anything Raichu threw at us was going to do way more than anything a Skarmory throws at us. So sort of had to use the shield there. And we take the win. GG's. And with that win, I mean, we took the title. But we're going to show you this game 3. And let's see, I can see it now in the replay. I do something so silly. So I wanted to like kind of troll him by using the 3 Pokemon that he was using mainly. And look, if you saw it quickly, you can pause the video. I chose the wrong Skarmory. I have a 1490 Skarmory, and I chose one with 1051 CP. And that essentially cost me this game. So I switch in, and I see I have a single move Skarmory, and I'm like, what? And I look up, it has 1051 CP. And I'm like, okay, I'm in trouble. So now a flash cannon does half damage, whereas normally it would only do like a third damage at most, probably less. Go for the sky attack. It doesn't do much. So we're in bad shape here. And this is to show you that someone like me that's like pretty decent at this game, like top 100 ranked in the world on Sylph, or not Sylph, but the Go Battle League leaderboards. Like even I make some really dumb mistakes. And I chose a Skarmory that's like not even a good Skarmory. Oh my god. I catch the charge move here, and then I like was debating maybe he thought I was going to. I just like sometimes I overthink and it costs me. So I use a shield when I didn't have to. And now he's got a Deoxys that can do a lot of damage with these counters. I'm gonna shield because this is kind of my only play right now. If a Dark Pulse somehow miraculously goes through. He dumps his energy, which is okay. Do we have a fighting chance? Do you guys think even with the Skarmory Air we have a fighting chance in this game 3? I'll overfarm as much as possible, and then I go for the Grass Knot. How much health? Oh, they still have a whole Stunfisk in back, so this is over. But even though we're gonna lose this game 3, we took the first 2 games in the final, so we were able to win the championship. This Stunfisk is gonna destroy us with a Mud Bomb, and that's GG's. But good games to you, Cuddy. Thank you guys all for watching. This has been Chris Reisner, aka Rise to the Occasion. Make sure if you enjoyed this video, you click that subscribe button, turn on post notifications so you can know when I post. I'm gonna try and post here at least every day or every other day. And see you in the next one, everybody. Be the best version of yourself and have a good day. Peace.